This is the first episode of Sunshine State Sports Podcast presented by FL Teams. I'm your host, Nick Tattersfield. Accompanying me is Spencer Floor, Florida State alumni. We'll be covering college sports, pro sports, and everything in between in the state of Florida, interviewing coaches, so on and so forth. We do have an interview lined up for the next episode with UNF basketball coach, and hopefully bring you guys more interviews every week. But we have a big slate of college football we're going to get into first. Let's do some news and notes. Any NFL news you want to talk about today, Spence?
Yeah, I mean, the big one, obviously last night, the Dolphins played a football game, got their asses kicked. I did think the Bills were going to win that game, but obviously, ultimately at the end, the final score is not really what mattered. Tua going down with another concussion. It sucks. I mean, I'm not a Dolphins fan, but I think everyone watching that game was just like,
praying for him.
Like even before, like, you saw him go down and you saw the hands and the arm clench up and whatever. Watching him play is scary. Like, watching him go into the hit, I already was like, oh, I don't know, Jim. And then you see what happens. The same thing that's happened with his last three concussions, where it's clearly relatively traumatic and his arms are clenching up, and it sucked. It was tough to watch, and now people are asking if he should retire. I mean, that really is on the table.
Yeah, I mean, a ton of quarterbacks retire early. Andrew Luck did.
I wouldn't say a ton, but yeah, I mean, you got players that do. I mean, look at like Luke Kuechly, Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, you do get a good chunk of guys that do retire early. All the DeMar Hamlin hate now that he's getting is wild.
Crazy, because if you watch the play, he's just standing there. Tua runs straight into him with his head down.
Yeah,
like if DeMar Hamlin didn't do anything, if it was like, who's a random defender on the Bills? If it was Micah Hyde, no one would give a shit. But because it's DeMar Hamlin, it's a big issue. And people are joking that, like, the two softest things in football, Tua's skull and DeMar Hamlin's heart, ran straight. It's messed up. I mean, I feel for Tua. Obviously, I got a lot of respect for DeMar Hamlin too. It's a terrible situation. Hopefully he's able to come back, but at the very least, he's going to miss multiple weeks with this. I'd be shocked if anyone was comfortable with rushing him back. And who knows, maybe Ryan Tannehill homecoming. Mike McDaniel said they're going with Skylar Thompson, which is tough. Huge blow to the season and huge blow to the watchability of the Dolphins, in my opinion. Where it's week 2, we already got Malik Willis and Skylar Thompson throwing footballs, but we'll see what happens.
I'm excited for Malik Willis, man. He's finally getting his shot.
Sure. Obviously, a huge issue for the Dolphins, though, and it's a terrible situation just for Tua as a human.
Yeah. Most people, like, everyone's starting a podcast these days. I kept sitting here thinking, like, do we really want to start a podcast? And the difference for me is, like, we actually have access thanks to FL Teams. I wanted to make a big shout out to them. Like, this is possible because of them, giving us a platform and stuff. Like, we get to interview players and coaches because of the FL Teams brand, which has grown like crazy. I've been with them for a little bit now. But, like, yeah, I see every podcast gets started every other day. There's that one about Arizona State we were just talking about, which is just about. There's a podcast out there, if anybody's listening, on Instagram, and it's just these two Arizona State guys talking about Arizona State parties and, like, fraternity life, and it is the worst watch you could ever have.
Crazy. I would be able to appreciate it more if, like, the guys on the pod were like these rocked up, like, just like frat. They just
the biggest frat dude. These guys aren't in frats. They don't look like they're in frats. They're just like,
they literally don't. It's hilarious. That one, and then the one, I don't even remember what it's called, but it always pops up on my Instagram, and they say, like, there's chair guy and gel guy, and it's literally just this group of high school friends talking about life. They're like, oh yeah, I like Publix, or
Pub subs are good.
Yeah, it's like, bro, why does this exist? So
not everyone needs a podcast. The Hawk Tua girl got one.
Oh my god!
Which is
subscribe to that thing. Yikes!
Yeah, she signed with Jake Paul's company and got one, which is crazy to me. Yeah, the reason I like doing.
We need a podcast.
Yeah, we needed one. We get to talk to coaches. We have an interview today that will be on the next episode with UNF basketball coach Drixel, legendary basketball coach, coached a bunch of pros. Will be a fun interview for next episode. So that's the difference for our podcast, is really we get these access, and I'm going to try to get us out to places and see things that people don't really get to see. ESPN doesn't cover that well, so on and so forth. But
that's another one too. Another difference for me, at least, I won't speak for you, is that, I'm not afraid to have opinions outside of the norm, and I'm also not afraid to be wrong about them. Like, I'm going to stand on something I believe, especially when it comes to sports. And if it ends up being a cold take, it ends up being a cold take. But I think that both of us are people who, like, we have some pretty maybe not obscure but out there opinions about games and about teams and things like that. And I think that that's we'll bring an interesting perspective. It's not
Okay.
just cookie cutter.
I don't have bad takes. If I give a prediction on a game, it's not my fault they lose. It's the ref's fault or
That's a good point, actually.
I'm never wrong.
And
But anyways, we can start here looking at some games. I will shout out United. What's it called? Miami Hurricanes women's volleyball. They upset UT Texas, big time dub. #3 ranked Texas going down. If you like women's volleyball and you're in South Florida, that's a good squad to go check out.
yeah, I can't say that I tapped into that game, but the rest of them,
I will let you do. We're going to start off with the big game tomorrow, FSU versus Memphis. I'll let you do a monologue, talk about what you've seen from FSU so far this season, what you're willing. Apparently, you're going to do a big challenge for this week because some FSU fan, who shall remain nameless, challenged to eat poop if they lost, and he deleted his Twitter. You are going to make a challenge right now and hold yourself to it if Memphis loses. But I'll let you take the reins here.
Yeah. Not only will I eat dog shit if they lose, I'll eat cat shit. No, I'm kidding. I'm not eating any shit, but I will. I live in Atlanta. We've got some crazy hot wings here, and if FSU loses, I'm gonna go out and find the hottest wing that I possibly can. Just kind of down them, maybe on an interview, maybe on a pod, no water, just raw dog that and
we'll
see what
definitely
happens.
film that. No napkins, no water, just raw dog and hot wings. We'll see.
I don't know if you can tell. I'm pasty as hell, so spicy food not necessarily in my repertoire. But to get to the football of it all, FSU 0-2, Memphis 2-0. FSU somehow 6.5 point favorites at home. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Look, I don't bet against my own teams. If I did, I would have made a lot of money taking Boston College spread in our last game. It's been a rough go of it. I think like coming out of the Georgia Tech game, it was a neutral site. Georgia Tech looked sneaky good, and then they ended up, losing to Syracuse last weekend. But you could kind of just say, you know what, there's a lot of new pieces, a lot of DJ on a new team, a lot of transfers, a lot of guys that were starters last year not on the team anymore. Maybe we just needed, maybe they were jet lagged. You could make excuses. Going out and playing the way that they did against Boston College at home was embarrassing. Like it was just a bad game to watch. And it obviously DJ gets all the hate and he was bad, much worse than I ever thought he could be, truthfully. But the defense was awful. The receivers couldn't catch. When DJ did make a play, it was bouncing off of Morlock's face. Like it was a really, really bad game. And it has me thinking, like, if we go out and lose to Memphis this week, I don't know if we're gonna get a bowl. Like it's bad. We might be one of the worst teams in the ACC with the way that we're playing right now. And people are going to dunk on us and take their victory laps because of what happened last year and us not making the playoffs and making a big stink about that. This team is not last year's team. In fact, this almost backs up that point that we went all in last year with transfers, upperclassmen, guys like Jared Verse coming back to try to make a run at it and robbed us of it. And now the team is a lot worse. But can I say that I ever expected them to be 0-2 at this point? No, definitely not. And we got guys running around shooting water guns at practice. Did you see that?
I saw that video. I saw DJ taking a snap and a guy running right behind DJ and a guy with a water gun squirting at him mid-practice, and you're 0-2 doing that?
Bro, it's crazy. Like, I get wanting to have fun at practice. It's a good thing, keeping it light, but you're 0-2. You can't have that video get out at the very least. We're 0-2. We're getting smacked by Boston College at home. You got guys frolicking about squirting each other at practice. I mean, come on.
I will say, I haven't seen like the memes of DJ and FSU have been legendary. There is just him being garbage. Him having a Circle K ad has been awful for him. Just the memes in general have been awesome, like amazing. Yeah. There's one where he's like have his hand in his pants before a drive.
DJ, you need to get a job. Yeah, the trend right now of athletes doing commercials with like fast food chains or stores where they're wearing the uniform. So Bryce Young has a Raising Cane's one, I think. Like, you just got to know better. If you're Patrick Mahomes, do all the Subway commercials you want.
Yeah.
If you're Bryce Young and DJ Uiagalelei, you cannot be doing those commercials.
You cannot be doing those commercials.
Got to know better.
Yeah. I have FSU winning today. Or not today, Saturday. I just love Mike Norvell. I will trust Mike Norvell till I die. There's a lot of talent on that team. The one question I have, it's confusing. I don't know how to say his name. Tuafili, the running back. I feel like he's the best weapon on offense, and he's the backup running back right now. They use him in the slot a little bit, but that dude should get like 20 touches a game, and it like blows my mind.
I don't get it. It's kind of, I guess they're trying to do sort of like a Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane thing from last year, where like they brought in Roydell Williams from Bama, and he's like the power back, first down back, and then they like you said, use Toafili more as like a gadget. But I mean, as we saw last night when Achane got all the carries, sometimes the better player, not to dunk on Raheem Mostert, who's a good player, but sometimes the better player should just play more.
Yeah,
Like sometimes you're doing too much by keeping Lawrence Toafili off the field. He's clearly, I agree, the best weapon on the offense, and he's not playing it.
yeah, that's brutal. And then the defense has just been crazy disappointing. Patrick Payne, I've been dogging on him all year. Like I had him as a first round pick. Dude has disappeared. And I saw him, I think he had one sack so far this year, one tackle for loss, but dude is awful. Like I don't think he should be even drafted at this point. And he's just completely like, non-existent on this defense at all.
Yeah.
The only guy that looks like he cares and is trying is DJ Lundy. Everyone else, like there's miscommunication on the defense every play. It looks like they don't care. Like they're just trying to ride the coattails of last year's team. But DJ Lundy is the only guy that I really respect on that defense right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree, and it shows you, like, I mean, Jared Verse came out last Sunday with the Rams and looked incredible. I think it shows you how big a difference having a superstar edge rusher like that makes for defense. I mean, obviously, it helped Patrick Payton. Braden Fisk, who was a second round pick, is gone too. The defensive line just isn't that good anymore, and you're starting to see some guys who are riding those coattails, like you said, maybe get exposed as not being able to do it by themselves.
Yeah, no, that's brutal. I still have FSU winning. I know you're going to have FSU winning. Memphis is a dangerous team. Their offense is crazy. I think they're a little too hyped up. Everyone has them as like the group of 5 playoff team. I don't have them as the playoff team. I think FSU pulls this one out. Mike Norvell has to get going. I will say this. If DJ starts bad, the chance for Brock Glenn are going to get crazy loud.
Got to pull him. Norvell's riding with him because we gave him a fat paycheck, I guess. And obviously, I think it's no secret that FSU was all in on Cam Ward, and he ended up going to Miami. And I think DJ was the backup plan. But yeah, at a certain point, like if you lose this game, like look, we're 0-2, that sucks, but you still have time to get the season on track and have it be a relatively successful season. It starts.
You can still go 10-2.
You're 0-3 against this set of 3 teams. I mean, I don't know how you can look at the rest of the schedule and think that you're gonna have a winning season. So in my heart, I want FSU to win. I believe they're gonna win. In my brain, I'm not sure, but I'm just like I trust Mike Norvell, like you said, and this can't be the way the season goes. Like you got to turn it around.
I will say I use college football inside stats for all like data analysis. They have great data. Everyone should go check them out. But they have FSU as an 88% win probability. So take that what you will. They use some of last year's data for this year's data as well. So that could kind of like give you misconception using last year's team. But yeah, I think if DJ comes out flat, I think you have to go to Brock Glenn. The chants are going to get crazy loud, and we might need to make some Brock Glenn merch for the podcast.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I texted you first week. And I was like, we need to get Brock Glenn. Like Brock Glenn needs to be subbed in. Like where you texted me and you were like, if DJ's this bad, imagine how bad Brock Glenn is if they're not willing to make the swap. But
he was awful. I mean, last year when he was called upon, but
he's a true freshman though.
Quarterback, he's a freshman, so it's like,
yeah,
hopefully he's improved since then. But if he hasn't, we're really, I mean, maybe Luke Croman up time.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next game. But I know you just made your. We'll get a picture of you and post a graphic about you eating hot wings on the pod next time.
I won't have to because we're gonna
win. He won't delete his Twitter if it the other guy. We'll go on to the next game and see what we got here. Let's do Texas A&M Florida. I have Texas A&M. I don't know who you have. What do you have going?
Texas A&M as well.
Texas A&M too. I think it's just. I know you're a Florida hater. You have to be because you're a Florida State guy. But I just love Texas A&M coach. I think they're going to be really good. Connor Wegman's whatever, the quarterback is whatever. So is Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway, kind of all like as like a scratch for me. But I think Texas A&M's defense is going to be pretty good. It's hard to win in the swamp, but I think Texas A&M pulls it out.
Yeah, I have to agree. Connor Wegman's questionable right now, so I think that's going to be a big talking point. Florida fans think that DJ Lagway is the second coming of
Christ.
Brady meets
videos after the game. They're like DJ Lagway.
Who were they against? Stanford, right?
Stanford. DJ Lagway is a 5-star recruit playing a high school team. That's what 5-star recruits do against high school teams. They light you up. We'll see. Graham Mertz, I think, is still the better player right now. People shit on Graham Mertz, but he had a really good year last year. I think he's better. But again, I'm just going with my gut. I love Mike Elko at Texas A&M. He's one of the best coaches in the country. I think they can find a way to win, especially after that Notre Dame loss. That was brutal, and they have to come out and win this one.
I'll roll Texas A&M here too, and Billy Napier coaching for his job at this point this year. I think I have not been impressed, and I don't think Florida fans have been either.
They're recruiting really well, so I kind of want to give Billy Napier like 2 more years, but I don't think Florida fans have the patience for 2 more years of this. But yeah, we both got Texas A&M. This one's a pretty Quick game to go over. Next one up on the list, and again, this one's going to be quick, is Miami versus Ball State. Miami's going to win. There's no need to debate this. Miami's like genuinely a national title contender this year. The one thing that annoys me is people act like Cam Ward just arrived. They're like, oh my God, this guy Cam Ward's insane. Cam Ward's really, really good at Washington State for 2 years. Like, this guy was already going to get drafted at Washington State. And so, like, dude's a monster. Everyone's like, oh my God, who is this dude? No, he's been that guy. He's my favorite quarterback in the country. I know we talked about it when he entered the transfer portal.
I mean, we were all in on him, and I wanted him bad because, I'm a big NFL draft guy. Like you said, I thought Cam Ward was a third-round pick last year. And so, FSU and Miami got in the arms race for him, and Miami won. But you know what? You said there's no reason to debate this game. I disagree. Miami loses. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I can be a little bit unbiased. Miami's definitely going to roll Ball State. Cam Ward's a stud. Yeah, I have to agree. Playoff contender for sure. Maybe national championship contender.
Yeah, I mean, that offense is crazy with him. The defense is also really good. They got a couple of D linemen that are going to go, or DNs are going to get drafted pretty high in the NFL draft. They're loaded. If they still have their safeties, Cam Kitchens and God, who's their other guy? They had another dude that also got drafted that they'd be unstoppable. But they win this week pretty easily, no doubt about it. We'll go to another game now. USF versus Southern Miss. Former Florida State quarterback Tate Rodemaker. Love me some Tate. Pause. He's quarterback at Southern Miss. We'll see how they do. I think USF wins. USF's actually my group of 5 playoff team.
Really?
Yeah, some people are really hot on them, others are not. UCF fans are pissed off at me because I ride USF pretty hard. Pause. But I'm a big Alex Golish fan. Like, I love their coaching staff. I love what they're doing at the college. They're really amping up their sports because they want to get into the ACC really badly. Their offense is crazy. If you don't know who their quarterback is, Byron Brown, like, that dude's stud. Yeah, he's going to throw for 3,000 plus, almost rush for 1,000 every year he plays. So I think they're going to be really good. They played Alabama so
they hung in there.
It was a late collapse. The score got out of hand, but it was like 3-point game, 6-point game with like 6 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
So, I think they ball out. I don't know if they cover the spread because the spread set at 11 for USF, but I think USF wins. I think you have a little upset alert though for this one.
Yeah, I like Southern Miss to cover actually. Maybe it's a little bit of Tate Rodemaker bias. I do think USF wins. I agree that obviously they hung in there with Bama. I could see there being a little bit of, even though they obviously didn't win that game, still a little bit of overlooking the next opponent because you were able to. You get up so much for this game against Bama, and you leave it all on the field, and you're like, all right, it's Southern Miss. Let's take a break, and be great, Tate. I think Southern Miss is a sneaky cover here, but yeah, USF probably wins. Yeah. And Tate Rodemaker, do I understand why he went to Southern Miss? Not really. I guess they told him he wasn't going to start, but I feel like he'd already.
It's got to be that. Like, there's no way they had to tell him that he wasn't going to start. That's the only way he transfers. I think because he was a backup for like 3 years, and like. He's like a gunslinger, solid starter. He's gonna make some. He's gonna turn it over a little bit, but solid playmaker. I love watching him play. There was that one game against Louisville where Jordan Travis went down, and we were at a bar watching that, and he just lit up Louisville for a win. That was crazy. It's at Southern Miss too, so that's a little keep your eye on that.
Yeah, I like Southern Miss to cover.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to another one. The Shula Bowl. No one knows why it's called the Shula Bowl. Like, Shula doesn't have any ties to FAU or FIU. But FAU and FIU play in Boca Raton. Spread is set at 6 for FAU, might be down to 5 at this point. But I'm
actually 4.5 at this point.
4.5. It keeps dropping because there's a lot of sharp money going in on FIU. FIU started off the season 1-1 so far. They destroyed Central Michigan. They lost to Indiana, where after the game against Indiana, star defensive player, their best defensive player, linebacker Reggie Peterson, retired out of nowhere. No one knows why. We might know why soon. Hint, interview might be coming. But they look a lot better. They're usually like the joke of college football because they're like UTEP. They average 2 to 3 wins a year, maybe less. But they have a star quarterback, Keon Jenkins, true sophomore from Florida. Dude's a monster. I firmly believe if Keon Jenkins was on FSU would be 2-0. I think that kid is that good.
There's probably a long list of quarterbacks who would have us at 2-0.
But Keon Jenkins is the real deal. I hope he stays at FIU. I love seeing guys stay for 4 years, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was starting at a Power 5 school next year. You also have a really good running game. FAU, I love Tom Herman, great coach, but FAU just kind of seems like they're just like lost in their identity. They don't really know what they want. Their quarterback's been struggling in the new system. I think it's a prime upset. I think FIU can compete in Conference USA this year. and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see FIU. I'm going to be tuned into this FIU game more than any other game in the country. Next year, we're going to try to go on tour next year, go to a couple games. Next year, I guarantee we will be at the Shula Bowl. That is the football game we will be at. We are going to South Florida. We will be at the Shula Bowl. We will be on the field at Pitbull Stadium. That will happen.
Dale.
Dale. The fact they wrote Dale in the stadiums is wild to me. I look at the stadium, I'm like, I see Pitbull there, and the stadium's empty. I'm like, damn, this sucks.
Yeah. I like FIU to win as well. I mean, you got FAU getting rolled by Army.
Dude, they did. I didn't even mention that. They did get rolled by Army. Triple option, just destroyed. Not only that, not only they get destroyed by the triple option, the quarterback threw it on them, and they dropped like some big touchdowns. And Army doesn't throw the ball. And that's when I'm like, oh, this is bad.
It's bad. Yeah. If you got Army throwing the ball, that's a problem.
We will have graphics of all our picks posted at NFL teams on the Twitter or X and Instagram. We will also be having other graphics of our best bets that can go beyond Florida, because trying to get you guys to just bet Florida can be bad. What if there's not a good matchup for you to bet? So we're going to expand beyond that a little bit. But again, we'll have all our Florida picks. You can go follow us on X and Instagram, and you'll see all those on a daily basis. We have one more game to cover. Little backstory before we get into this game. I've gone viral on NFL teams before. I know Spence has seen it. He saw it when UCF fans were coming at me.
Death threats.
Death threats. They made fun of me having cancer. It was brutal. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, just for not rating them as high as they thought they were. And to me, like, I love a fan base like that. I love that they care so much and they're rabid about it. But they're so delusional in thinking like, oh man, dude, we're like a top 10 program. Like, we're in the Big 12 now. We should be winning the Big 12. The Big 12's crazy this year. I'm not going to say like they don't have a shot at winning it, because every team but two, now Texas Tech. Now that Texas Tech also sucks, maybe three teams are out of the race. But every team has a shot in the Big 12 now. Like, it's crazy how tight that race is. I don't even take a look at the standings, but everyone has a legit shot, which is nuts to say when you come to like a big conference like that. So they do have a chance, but they compared KJ Jefferson to Cam Newton. The fact that they got a transfer quarterback from Arkansas, and Gus Malzahn said, hey, he kind of looks like Cam Newton, like the build wise. And UCF fans heard that and ran with it. And I'm like, how do you compare one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to KJ Jefferson, who I think sucks? Dude is one of the worst quarterbacks ever. Most overrated quarterback ever I've ever seen in my life. I don't get the hype. People say he's a dual threat. The most rushing yards he's ever had in a season is like 400. You don't call that a dual threat.
I mean, he's fat. He's more, to me, he's more Big Ben than he is Cam Newton.
Yeah. I like, he, in the red zone, I get it. You want a big guy in the red zone to like push through the tackles, but don't say he's a dual threat. His arm talent also isn't good. And I will say this, I do love some of UCF's players. We'll get into that a little bit of the game, but I just want to give my background. People think I'm like a USF like student or alumni. I'm not. I'm not affiliated with USF at all. The fan base does love me, does love FL teams. UCF does hate me. I have one guy. I'll find his Twitter. Every time I comment or say something on Twitter, he's the first one in the comments. Let me find him real quick.
I gotta find some of these tweets that you were getting. What was that? That was like a year ago, right? Where you posted that thing.
No, this is a long time. It was like my first year at FL teams, like 2 years ago at this point. Jason in the Citronauts. He's a 53-year-old man out in Orlando. When I tell you he's always in my comments, every time I say something, he's there. I love it. I have a hater. I must be doing something right if someone is that eager to always respond to me. Maybe one day we'll have him on the pod and we can hash things out.
That'd be great.
But UCF fans, like, they hate me. They despise me. I'm not welcome in Orlando. I do want to go to a game. Whenever Texas Tech does play at UCF, we're going to go to that game. We'll go down to Orlando. That's going to be a fun game. We'll get all the boys to go. It'll be a fun trip. But yeah, I'm the biggest UCF hater apparently. I will say I do like their basketball team this year, but we'll get that. That's basketball season. We'll get that down the road.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. I will talk about this game a little bit. UCF at TCU. This line has moved like crazy. It was UCF +2. Now it's UCF -2. It might be back down to UCF -1. It's moved like crazy. I don't know if you've seen any line movement on that, but I'm not a big TCU fan this year. They're a little overrated in my opinion. They still haven't recovered from that national championship shellacking they got from Georgia. I do like their quarterback Hoover, who's a sophomore. They have a solid defense. They just have it's like all solid. There's no like special players. It's all solid players. So when I see two teams where it's like completely solid rosters, like all balanced. I try to find like one special guy that can move the edge, and there's one guy on UCF that can do that. RJ Harvey. I don't know if you've heard of him yet, but he's going to make he's going to explode onto the scene nationally this year. He is a monster. Should be a first round pick in the NFL draft. The second best running back in the country. I'm going to come out and say that now. He's behind the Boise State Alshon
In
Jeffrey.
the country, come on. This is the most loaded running back class.
It is a loaded class. I think he's the second best. I think Ollie Gordon is extremely overrated. I think he is.
Sean Junkins.
I think RJ Harvey's better. I think he is. I think averaging like 8 yards per carry, 7 yards per carry. They played cupcake teams, but they're going crazy. I think he's just a difference maker. I think that dude is just too good. And if UCF can just get him going, I think they win this ball game. So as much as that people want to say I'm a UCF hater, I have them winning in Fort Worth against TCU this week. I think they cover. I think they win outright. I'd kind of want to bet the game. I think it's that easy for them to win, unless KJ Jefferson plays like KJ Jefferson, which is awful, and he blows the game. I think you just feed RJ Harvey, and the defense is good enough to hold up from there. So, what are your thoughts on this game?
I'm going to stand on it. If you don't want to take the mantle of being the UCF hater anymore, I'm happy to. I'll never forget when they said they were national champions. They're going to lose this game. I'm going to say TCU wins by a touchdown or more. I would take TCU money line easily here.
Oh, okay. It's surprising. I will say UCF haters hate me as much as you want. RJ Harvey's dad liked my last tweet. So I'll take that.
Well, you're calling him the second best running back in the country.
Yeah.
I'd like your tweet too.
Yeah. Rob Harvey slid in, click that like button. Maybe we'll get RJ Harvey on the pod now. I'll DM his dad.
RJ on.
RJ Harvey's a beast though.
Judges.
He is, trust me, dude. Watch the game. Watch the game this week. He's going to put on a show. That is all of the Florida games. I don't know if there's anything else you want to cover from the game wise, any college football news that you want to talk about besides that. After that, we can go into NFL news. Week 1 happened. Just to go into NFL, I got to say something. Everyone's been making fun of me for it, but the numbers back me up. I said the NFL week 1 was just extremely boring, sterile. I like college football more. You know that. I love college sports way more than I like pro sports. And I was watching NFL week 1, and I'm like, this is boring. I don't want to watch this. Everything just seems sterile and boring. And the numbers back me up. The least amount of touchdowns in a week 1 and God knows how long. Quarterbacks are playing awful. We don't have those 300-yard passing games anymore. And people were like, oh, well, there's dual threats. You should still be able to pass the ball in the NFL. Anthony Richardson was the only guy that was excited. Anthony Richardson sucked. But he had 2 passes that were 40-yard bombs.
That one throw was insane.
Yeah. Dude slipped and still just launched a 60-yarder. He's the freakiest athlete the NFL has ever seen. But besides that,
it's just a hilarious juxtaposition of having him be in the same draft class as Bryce Young. And that's not even talking about CJ Stroud, because Bryce Young's whole thing is that, like, he's this smaller guy. He's not that fast. He doesn't have that big of an arm. And so he needs the team around him to, and, I'll say this too. I'm not out on Bryce Young yet. I think
I'm not either.
He's really got hand. But he is a guy who's not that good of an athlete, obviously very small. He needs the rest of his team around him to be good, or at least competent for him to be able to succeed. And then you compare him with Anthony Richardson, who went in the same class, who's like the freakiest athlete, like this giant rocket for an arm and crazy speed. It is just pretty hilarious that, like, and that's not even mentioning CJ Stroud in a second. Like, it was a huge mistake to take Bryce Young, and just seeing, like, being on red zone and seeing Bryce Young throwing an awful pick and then it cutting to Anthony Richardson launching 170 yards off his back foot. It's got to be tough to finish it.
I mean, to me, NFL is all about situation. Like, to me, pro sports has become that. Even in the NBA, it's all about situation. And Bryce Young just got put in a crazy bad situation. So that one, it's a low blow. But I just want to hear your week 1 thoughts on the NFL. Just knowing it from my perspective, I thought it was boring. It kind of sucked. But
yeah, so me, I love the NFL. It's my favorite league, in the world. And so I was still excited just because I'm in like 9 fantasy leagues. I had a bunch of bet slips. I'm a sicko. And so it was still fun for me, but I can admit that, like, yeah, the offenses were not that impressive other than a few exceptions. And I do think part of that is week 1 shaking off the rust. I think another big part of that is, like you said, more dual threat quarterbacks coming in that aren't as effective through the air. And I mean, you had some really bad quarterback play. Will Levis was a guy I was excited to see how he developed, and he looked awful. Bryce Young obviously looked terrible, like we talked about. You already have now Jordan Love getting hurt, Tua getting hurt. So it just, as more guys get hurt, that's going to become more of an issue. And you have so many teams running deep safeties now that it really is pretty hard to take the top off of a defense at this point. And so, yeah, the passing attacks were worse and offenses will continue to adjust, but it's a pendulum. And I guarantee you 2 years from now, we'll be talking about guys throwing for 5,000 yards in a season again because defenses will adjust so far one way that the offenses adjust and the defenses will go back to it. It's just, this is the part. There's ebbs and flows. And right now, the passing games are not looking great, but I'm sure that'll progress as the season goes on.
I think to me, the biggest reason why college football appeals to me way more, besides it just being college and like seeing like the student athletes play, is there's just way more different styles of football. Maybe like NFL, it's all seems to be like one or two styles. College, it just you could get triple option teams, you can get air raid teams where they're going to throw the ball 70 times a game. I think
Yeah.
that's what I like the most about it, just seeing the variety compared
Yeah,
to
it's a lot harder to instill like a team identity in the NFL because you have all of these fun gimmicky things in college that work that just don't work in the pros. So I do get what you mean, and obviously just with like the elements of like the pageantry and things like that, like it doesn't hit the same, but I don't know. It's in my blood.
NFL. It's red zone. You just gotta love it.
I'm a fiend for it.
Let me see what else we got on the docket. We have our first ever FL teams can't lose parlay this week. It can't lose. When we give you guys picks, we put our own money on it. Okay, this isn't some show where we make a pick and we're not betting it. We're like, oh, whatever. We put our own hard-earned money on this. This is the FL teams can't lose parlay. Graphic's already up on Twitter. You can get this line right now. And we're going FSU minus 4.5. Bought a couple points. And FIU money line. FIU with a big upset win. FSU to get right on track. Odds are plus 344, $100 to win $344. Yeah, go bet that parlay. I know Spence and I both bet it. We're going to be tuned in. I'll be at the Texas Tech game during the FSU one, but I'm going to get updates from him on the FSU game. And then I'm going to be at the FIU game watching. And I'll give him updates of that. It's going to be a sweat fest. You know, it's going to be fun.
I mean, I don't know if can't lose. It can definitely lose.
No, it can't. It's the can't lose parlay.
We're tailing it, we're riding it, and was it clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose? I believe FSU time to show the country what we're made of. It's time to stop getting made fun of, and then the Shula Bowl. I'm not picking a team that got rolled by Army, so let's do it.
Shula Bowl, baby, come on! This is bigger than football. It's bigger. It's the biggest game of the year. This is their Super Bowl. I will say the one thing I don't like because quotes like this never age well. Keon Jenkins, the quarterback for FIU, said FAU's not our rival.
Oh, that's brutal. Kayvon Thibodeau said something like that about the Commanders this week too. Whenever you give whiteboard bulletin board material to the
you
other
don't like that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see though. We're about to go into our regular bet, but go check that graphic out. Go get it. Hard Rock Bet. Hard Rock Casino, if you're listening, we need sponsorships. This is first episode. We have nothing. If you want to shoot us a sponsorship, we'll make graphics for you. We'll throw our picks on that. We'll blow up one day and we'll be like Barstool. We'll have the Nick and Spence plays in the Hard Rock app where you can tail us. That's the dream right there.
Always good to dream big.
It's always good to dream big. But let's go into our regular picks. Let's go one pick at a time. I think you have 3 plays. I got 3 plays. Again, these are picks that I bet personally. We also have one mortal lock. We'll be keeping track of our picks throughout the year. I've decided that mortal locks will count for more as well. And whoever has the whoever has the best winning percentage, win-loss record by the end of the year will get a trophy.
Yep, and whoever has the lowest is supposed to nude on Twitter, start OnlyFans.
I will be deleting my Twitter. I will be deleting my Twitter for that. Or you know what? We'll contact that Arizona State podcast. You got to go be a guest on that podcast.
You got to get those fellas on.
Yeah.
Gotta ask their favorite beer.
Hey, you know what? Arizona State just played a ball game. They recently just won. Maybe we get them out and talk about Arizona State football.
You know those fellas were too black to even know what the game's about.
Anyways, I'll start it off. I am a transfer student from Indiana at Texas Tech. Indiana, one of the worst football programs in history. They're bottom 3 in the country. Horrible. We did have Michael Penix, so that was a cool little twist.
Beat the brakes off of FIU though, didn't you?
Yeah. I will say this. They do have a new coach, James Madison coach, who is one of the best coaches in the country. Like, I don't know why he chose IU. He had James Madison ranked in the top 25 consistently. Like, they just made the jump from FCS to FBS, and immediately they were ranked. He went to Indiana. I mean, great coaching hire. Don't know why he chose there. Probably had other offers. But Indiana's rolling. I don't know if you paid attention at all. They're rolling. And I don't think in my dad's lifetime, in my lifetime, in Payne's lifetime, we ever thought Indiana would be favored on the road at UCLA. but that has happened. They were +3, now they're -3. I got it at -2. They're favored to win. They've been rolling teams so far. Signetti, great coach. The defense looks incredible. They have a solid quarterback in Curtis O'Rourke. I probably butchered that name. But they look good. UCLA looks like garbage. They almost lost to Hawaii week 1. UCLA's, ever since Chip Kelly left, looks like garbage. So I'm going to take the Hoosiers on the road. People are starting to catch up a little bit. Like ESPN FBI has them ranked. So like we'll see. But basically this Indiana team is James Madison because all those guys transferred to Indiana. So you have a couple really, really good corners. That defense is scary. That offense is lighting people up. They dropped 77 points last week. I don't care who you play. That's like, oh, that's a shit ton of points. I don't care. So I'm going Hoosiers as my first pick of the week. We each got 3, including a mortal lock, but the Hoosiers not my mortal lock. I would never make the Hoosiers my mortal lock.
Yeah, you can't bet on your own team for a mortal lock. I feel like you're in for a rude awakening with your homerness right here. I'm not an Indiana.
We'll see. We'll see. They play UCLA, who's garbage.
We'll see.
We'll find out Saturday. But you can go to your first pick now.
Yeah. Speaking of, I talked about previously that I'm a big NFL fan, so all my picks are going to be pro football. I just called you a homer. I risk being a homer as well because I'm actually, unfortunately, a diehard Washington Commanders fan. And I got the Commanders at home covering against the Giants. It's -1.5 right now. Look, for the last 3 or 4 years, the Commanders and the Giants have both been like horrible, probably even longer, 5, 6 years. And for some reason, the Giants with Daniel Jones always beat us. We are the only team that Daniel Jones has a winning record against. He's 5-1 against us. It's crazy. But the vibes around the Giants right now are so bad after how week 1 went for them, getting dog walked by the Sam Darnold Vikings. Daniel Jones looking as bad as he did. People joking about now, since he signed his last contract, he's thrown more touchdowns to the other team than to his own team. I just can't see them coming into Washington and winning. I refuse to believe it. Maybe it's my heart. I don't know. I can't accept that. And I got to take the Commanders here. I think the Commanders defense is obviously not very good. Baker Mayfield lit us up, but the Giants offense is worse. And I think that Jaden Daniels showed me enough against Tampa Bay that he will be able to move the offense against the Giants defense that I don't think is very good. And who knows, maybe it'll be 2017, something like that, a real grinded out game. But I think the Commanders win and obviously cover.
Okay. We'll see. We'll go to my second pick. I would like to be cultured. I'm a world renowned traveler. So my second pick, we're going down south. We're going to Mexico. I have Mexican soccer for my next pick. We're going, I get the mic close for this one. We got America CF. Win to win. Draw equals no bet. So if they tie, you get your money back. This is a little safer pick for you guys out there. This is the biggest soccer club in the Western Hemisphere. They got some dogs. They got a couple American players that are also dogs. Alexis Sendejas should be back. They played Chivas. This is El Clásico de Mexico. It's going to be a ball game. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a late night game. Once football is over, you can watch soccer. It's going to be fun. This team is finally getting healthy, and they should roll. They need to roll. They're the 2-time back-to-back champions. Where we want the 3-peat. We need it. Their players are getting older. They're like the San Antonio Spurs when Tim Duncan, Tony, and Monty were getting older. This is like their last chance, the last run, last dance, if you will. So I'm going America. Win, draw equals no bet. You can get it at -220. So this is a safer bet. Our bets are 250 or better. This is a safer pick for me, but you got to have a safe pick piece in there. Yeah, and this will be mine.
Yeah. My next one, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks to cover 3.5 points against the Patriots. Obviously, the Patriots came out last week, shocked the Bengals. The Bengals are a really weird team. Every year, I feel like they start out really slow. Obviously, with T. Higgins being hurt, Jamar Chase having his contract situation, and Joe Burrow's wrist.
I mean, I got eliminated from the Survivor pool week 1 because I took the Bengals.
Lost their Survivor pool. Goodbye. You're out of here week 1. But all that to say that I'm not that impressed by the Patriots win. We knew that the defense for the Patriots was going to be pretty good. Gerard Mayo, a Bill Belichick disciple, a lot of still really talented players on that defense. But the offense is bad. The offensive line is really bad. Jacoby Brissett is okay. The weapons are possibly the worst weapons room in the league. And I think the Seahawks showed me a lot against the Broncos in the way that, yes, Geno Smith kind of struggled out of the gate. The offense had some lumps, but Ken Walker looked really good. Geno Smith heated up as the game went on, and the defense, which was really, really bad last year, looked way better under Mike McDonald. Obviously, they were against Bo Nix, and you can say what you want about Bo Nix.
And Bo, we trust. Hey, I have a future bet on Broncos over 5.5 wins. I trust Bo Nix. He'll get right. Dude, do you see that spin move into the end zone?
Money, brother. You can go ahead and wipe your ass with that. That's not hitting.
You not see the Bo Nix spin move into the end zone?
Yeah,
That
did
was
you not see his throw into triple coverage where the announcer went, "Oh no, it was a Denzel Valentine. That is not the shot there," type of moment.
uh
Um,
I trust it. Sean Payne's comparing him to Drew Brees. I trust Sean Payne. I
of
trust
course, Sean Payton is. Sean Payton's going to get fired if Bo Nix isn't good. But yeah, all that to say that I think the Seahawks are just a lot better on paper than the Patriots, and I think they should be able to cover 3.5 points against them pretty easily. I don't even think this will be a sweat.
Awesome. Okay. We're going to our mortal lock time. These are mortal locks. Yeah, seatbelt. You got strapped. These are locks. These will not lose. I guarantee you, I will go perfect in my mortal locks. I have my own separate tab of picks I give out here and there called Tag Game of the Year mortal locks. This is not one of those. Those are few and far between, but those are guaranteed hits. But these are also guaranteed hits. These mortal locks are also guaranteed hits. And mine is my favorite college football program, near and dear to my heart, might be finally back. And my mortal lock of the week, +4, and I might take them outright as well. Hawaii Rainbow Warriors.
And I call Brennan.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, shout out that. Timmy Chang, Hawaii Legends, the coach. I love their quarterback, Brendan Schrager. They run a quick offense. Sam Houston State's not that good. They are going to Sam Houston State, which is outside of Houston, small school. Recently went from FCS to FBS. They're not that impressive. I think we need to read reports also, especially if Hawaii's star wide receiver's back, but he did have a DUI incident. But if he's back, I expect them to roll. This team is really good. They almost beat UCLA. I expect them to come out and just win. I want to take them outright. I might do that, but as of right now, I just have them +4.5. And it's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be fun to watch. But Hawaii clears easily. First mortal lock. We're gonna have to add a graphic or something where it's like just like a lock noise, like locking. This is my first lock. Mortal lock.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a big Hawaii guy too. I don't know how you can like sports and not have a soft spot in your heart.
I mean, Hawaii is every gambler's favorite team because you could be down $1 trillion, but that midnight Hawaii game rolls around and you're like, I can win it all back right now. I remember one of my buddies, who shall remain nameless, texted our group chat and was like, "What's wrong with me?" And I was like, "What's happening?" And he was like, "I'm betting Hawaii. It's Christmas Eve and it's midnight, and I'm betting Hawaii basketball."
Get this coming down the chimney, and I'm here watching the Rainbow Warriors go to work.
Yep. So Hawaii is just
Yeah.
America's team. You love the uniforms, love everything about them. They play a fun brand of football. They're my lock. I'll let you get to your lock now.
Yeah, man, my lock. You can call it a chalk pick if you want, but I think that's the point. I got Chargers covering 6 points against the Panthers in Carolina. Look, I came into this year, I had the Panthers winning about 6 games. I felt like we were going to see a lot of improvement from Bryce Young. I thought they did some good things in the offseason with their offensive line, adding, Xavier Leggett as a receiver, adding Deontay Johnson. They got Dave Canales as their head coach, who's a guy that I like. But that week one was really, really rough. I mean, they got smoked by the Saints, who I think are not a very good team. And I just think that the Chargers are the exact type of team that can really be down on the Panthers because obviously, like I said previously, I don't believe Bryce Young is as horrible as everyone's making him out to be. I still believe that he could have a decent NFL career, but the Panthers defense is atrocious. And they just lost Derek Brown, their only good defensive player. I think the Chargers are just going to run all over them. I think
J.K. Dobbins looked really good.
Would we say he looked good? He looked good for the first 20 yards of his run, and then for the last 30, he's going. It looked like he had played 3 games in 4 years or whatever.
I will say, I feel bad for J.K. Dobbins. One of the most talented running backs I've ever watched, but injuries just keep piling on the kid, and it just sucks.
Yeah, no, I'm rooting for him. And only 25. He feels like a guy because he's been hurt so much. He's been in the league for a while. You feel like he should be 29, but no, I mean he's still 25. If he can stay healthy, he's probably got a couple good years left in him. But between him and Gus Edwards, what Jim Harbaugh's built on the offensive line, the identity that he's instilled, I think that they're just going to beat down on the Panthers. I think it's going to be an ugly game to watch, and I think the Chargers will win 23-7, something along those lines. I don't see Bryce Young being able to move the ball against the Chargers much. And even though it's at home for the Panthers, do you think people are really showing up for that game? And the minute Bryce Young throws his first pick, it's just going to be boo birds and they're going to lose the crowd anyway. So that doesn't really factor into it for me. I think the Chargers are a much better team. And I think they're the exact kind of team that will really beat down on a team like the Panthers that probably has the worst rushing defense in the league. So Easy lock for me. Chargers cover the spread against the Panthers in Carolina.
Awesome, man. That is 2 mortal locks for us this week. We'll keep track and we'll let you guys know how we're doing. We'll have graphics made up. We'll have all that stuff.
Yep.
Still looking for a producer for the show to edit all this stuff, but we'll figure it out. We'll get there. This will be probably our only episode on Zoom as well. Besides that, I think we've covered all the bases. Again, we'll have more interviews for you guys as more episodes come out. We got Coach Driscoll coming on the show. We'll be going to games a lot too. I'll try to make it out to Dallas for the SMU Florida State game, which is going to be fun. Two struggling teams that have not met expectations. It's going to be fun to watch. UNF starts their season in Atlanta in a little tournament. We're going to have Spence go to those games. Show you guys behind the scenes stuff or sporting events, stuff like that. But it's been fun first episode. Can only get better from here. Can only get better from here.
Can only go up. We're shaking off the rust, and I don't even know if you can shake off rust if you've never done it before.
No. Finding
our legs, and yeah, it's fun just talking
ball. Maybe we'll have the GOAT Isaac on for next week's episode. The founder of FL Teams. I know he interviewed Elijah Martin recently. Like, dude is killing the game. Shout out for him for putting this podcast together for us and posting it on his website.
Yeah, we got a whole list of people we can get on the show now.
We're gonna try to be be not gonna
be that running back. Yeah. Maybe get the guy who deleted his Twitter to try to track him down and
get him on. Yeah. I don't like how you keep cutting out every time I speak. Does it just mute you automatically?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh man, well,
we'll see.
We'll do StreamYard next week, and it won't happen. I think the GOAT. Okay, let's do one more thing. GOAT podcast guest. You go.
So is this something?
Are
we going with someone who is actually within the realm of possibilities? Or
anything.
All right, I'm bringing out a spell book. I'm laying out a bunch of, I don't know how you do a seance or whatever, a bunch of garlic cloves and shit. Getting my Miami Hurricane and Washington Commanders legend Sean Taylor come sit down and take us through what should have been the greatest safety career of all time. The ghost of Sean Taylor, the Seven My Dream podcast guest.
That's sad. That's a sad one to bring up. I'm gonna go with the Arizona State podcast. We need to have those guys on. We need to get them on here.
Okay, you told me. I thought we were
talk a little ball with them. See if they know ball.
I picked the ghost of Sean Taylor and the Arizona State guys. All right, I'll go with Gel Guy from that podcast I was talking about. He has the worst vibes, and I want to see how much of it is.
Yeah, I think again, I talked about it earlier. What makes this different? We're going to try to have interviews on for people. I think that's what I want. I want to see, like, when I talk to Coach Driscoll, no college basketball coaches talk about the transfer portal, how it's affected small schools, because it's really killed small school sports. And so we're going to get to the bottom of that. And this guy who's developed tons of pros, shout out Jose Placer, who transferred to USF and then went to go win the first championship he ever played in Puerto Rico. So he's hooping. We're going to talk to Coach Driscoll, though, about all that stuff. It's going to be a great interview. But yeah, I think it's a good first episode. Can only go from here, man.
If you think you know ball, you don't know ball like this guy. He just name dropped Jose Placer. Who the hell is that? I have no idea.
Great point guard. You texted me one time when UNF was playing FSU. I was like, dude, they had this Hispanic point guard. It was just killing us.
Was it him? Really?
Yeah, it was him.
Dude, I got to Tallahassee. It was like a noon game. I'm already, however many beers deep by 11. And I'm just watching this kid light up FSU basketball in Tallahassee for UNF, thinking there's no way this can be my life. Yeah. We did end up winning that game, but yeah, I do actually remember that guy.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to go on. We're going to call it a tour, but we want to go see athletic facilities, talk to coaches, interview people. We'll see what we can do with that. Again, I already guarantee it. We're going to go to the Shula Bowl next year. So great first episode. I know we got places to be. But yeah, it was awesome. Week 2 next week, or episode 2 next week. Don't know how to do an outro, so this is just going to.
Yeah, we'll work on the sign-off.
Yeah, the outro is going a little long, but I'm just going to stop recording now. Okay.
Love you guys.
Yeah.